I'd like to open up the Jamaica Selectboard meeting, Monday, July 13th. First, I would like your approval to add June 24th minutes. I forgot to add that in the, to approve them. They're in your book, but I didn't have them on the agenda. Sorry about that. If you will do the 22nd first, the meeting, emergency meeting, I'm sorry, the 24th is emergency meeting. The 22nd. If you read those and if there's any corrections, let me know.
The only thing that I found, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, number 8, Core Trowbridge.
That's correct.
That is.
Yeah, I puzzled what we were printing, that's what I.
That's correct,
No,
right? Trowbridge.
confirm it with, he's nodding.
He's not, yes.
Silently nodding.
Are there any other corrections?
I make a motion to accept Monday, the 22nd, Jamaica Selectboard minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next will be the June 24th emergency meeting that we had regarding the bids for Water Street.
The last part before we adjourn, where it says, the motion carried with Paul Fraser commenting on record that he would prefer a 25-cent compensation. Is that going as part of the motion we accepted, or?
Well, that was part of the discussion that when we took the vote.
I think, however, we came to a conclusion, maybe I'm wrong about this, is that when there's an abstention, that no comment is to be made.
It didn't seem.
Well, then that's wrong up here.
Where are we seeing it?
The motion
One
carried
abstention.
with one abstention.
Where is it?
Underneath the Water Street
Right.
reconstruction.
Yeah, but you see, that was to do with the Fitzpatrick's bid,
Right.
not the bags. See,
Okay,
this has to do with
back.
Fitzpatrick. Yep.
Okay.
So we probably should say the motion carried and then cross off with one of.
Well, it's not,
No, because she was referring to the comment about the extension.
Right,
being
right.
The top.
Right, I understand that, but if we wanted to eliminate on the second one, and it's a pay-as-you-throw,
Right.
we can eliminate with Paul Fraser commenting on the record that he would prefer 25 cents.
And the reason
That
for,
was in the
and the
discussion.
reason for my remarks being removed would be.
it's not part of the motion.
Right.
Right. So
That's
it
the
wasn't
only
the-
reason. There were a lot of comments made.
Right, so it was, you abstained from voting,
No, he voted.
didn't you?
I know, I said
Oh, no.
I did not vote.
You did
for
not vote for the
For
fees.
the, no, for the construction project bids.
No,
I abstained from that one, but I
Right.
voted no
On this.
on this one.
right.
So,
So it should say,
Well, that doesn't say that.
right, the motion, 4 were for and 1 was against,
Yes.
basically is what it should say. So that last sentence should be
Right.
removed.
Well, hang on, I mean, I'm trying to remember, because I remember I abstained for one, and I said no for the other.
You voted against this one.
The second.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Because
sorry. Okay, it does, I'm reading the wrong line. Where it says all were in favor of the motion adjourned was for adjournment,
No,
not
no,
for.
no,
Oh, here.
no.
Yeah. Motion carried with
Was
Paul
all-
Fraser commenting on record for 25 cents. So the motion carried because you had the majority.
Right, but you, right. the
And I
motion
voted no.
carried. You voted no, but we should
Yeah,
add
but that
that,
should be in there. the
4 were
vote
for and
number.
1 was against.
Right. The vote number should be there,
so it should say the motion carried 4-1.
4-1.
Works with me.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you remove that sentence.
How about if I put, the motion was 4-1 with Mr. Fraser voting no and commenting, and then.
I don't think it,
We-
we'd
no, because
have
we
to
had
put
a lot
all
of
the comments in.
Right, because we
It
don't have
kinda
to.
like, no.
The comments need to go during discussion,
Right,
not during vote.
right, and not on the.
But that
motion.
was, I mean, I commented during the discussion and I reiterated it during the vote.
Well,
But
it
your
can't be in
vote
the
is
vote.
just no, it's either yes or no. And the discussion is too far.
Right.
Does it seem appropriate that there should be an addendum here that's saying during discussion, Paul?
I just put a period after the 4-1 vote and then say he earlier commented.
Okay, that would.
Yeah, but, all right, I commented on a lot of things too.
No, but I think Paul wanted to put it
The
on
one that
record.
had the 25 cent thing.
Why I voted against it, we did a lot of comments, everybody voted except me for it. So,
That's not something with me, right? If you're following Robert's rules even loosely, that has nothing to do with the motion. That's just a comment after the motion passed. Because you didn't say that during minority opinion, we didn't go back on a revote or anything like that. But it's like, on any motion we do, we could make, well, I didn't like, but you can make a comment after any motion.
Right, we usually don't, it's either yes or no, or voting for.
I don't want this to drag out any longer, but
I don't either. You
my
got 2 minutes.
comment now, be on the record, that I'd like to be able to go on the record, whether we're voting or not voting. So how we affect that for the record, we should figure that out one of these
Because
days.
we don't have to put the discussion in our minutes.
Right.
Because, I mean, you have 15 pages.
Completely agree.
So you want it in there, is what you're saying. You want to say why.
Why I
Right.
voted no. Yeah, that was my position. If you're telling me
But you
Robert's
just-
Rules of Order do not allow me
No,
to put in comment
not after a motion, no.
Right.
during
Right,
discussion parts.
It should be in another part of the.
which
That's
we
report.
have,
You
we
ask
have a
for
motion and
comments.
then there's discussion.
Bingo.
And then somebody vote, okay, all in favor, 4 said aye, 1 said no, and that's it, that closes it right there.
We don't put anything about the discussion?
No,
I'm not,
Not
I've
after
got
the
other
motion, no.
things to do tonight, so I will review Robert's Rules of Orders on this topic at another time.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes, with the motion carried, and eliminate with and the rest of that. With Paul Fraser commenting on the record that he would prefer 25-cent compensation.
well, 4 were for, so you got to put 4 were
Just to
4 and then 1 was
Motion
against.
carried, period.
that doesn't reflect the action that took place, if we say it merely carried as opposed to
Right.
carried 4 to 4.
4
Okay?
were for it and 1 was against. Just, what did you say?
Well, I just took out what I had written and said earlier, so
Can you put it back
if we
in?
want, Andy's motion is going to include that statement that
I would agree to put them carried 4-1. And that's it. I'd amend my motion to that.
I would agree with with number one, the fact that the motion should be clear, 4-1, and that's it.
Right,
Yeah.
that's.
However, I do think that there is room in the minutes if somebody wishes to put some discussion point, but it's not part of the motion.
Right, discussion is not part of the motion.
Right. So earlier in the paragraph, before the motion was reflected, I could see something in there to say during discussion, Paul Fraser indicated he would like to go on record as supporting 25 cents. I think that's appropriate.
To put in now?
Put it in earlier in the paragraph. For example,
But
check
we
should be
can't
made out to
really-
the town
I
of
don't think we
Jamaica.
can put discussion.
That's changing
in
the
now.
minutes,
Yeah, I don't think we can.
This is just correcting the accuracy of the minutes.
Correct, and I think the minutes, I mean, if you were to listen to the tape, there was a mention during discussion that Paul would have preferred 25 cents.
I said stuff, Andy said stuff.
Right, but Paul indicated that he would like to go on record.
Yeah,
I mean, not all of our discussion has to be included in the minutes, but I would support Paul's attempt to try to go on record. That's just my opinion. And because of that, I will vote no for the minutes.
All right, well then we have to
No,
approve
we-
minutes, we have to approve
No,
minutes.
we can vote on the minutes, we can go 3-2, or
Yeah.
4-1, it doesn't matter. But I support Paul's attempt to go on the record.
Okay, so you want to
Is
move
this,
it?
is this correct? I wasn't at this meeting, so I can't say whether it's correct or not, but what I have now is the vote on the last motion was 4-1 with Mr. Fraser voting no. During the earlier discussion, Mr. Fraser went on record favoring the 25-cent fee.
No.
Would you,
That's not what we just were talking about. Lou said that maybe in the future.
No, I was saying in this paragraph, I might put that type of wording earlier in the paragraph.
I mean, we'll be doing this at every meeting.
Well,
I mean,
I think it's only
you know-
periodically, only once in a while does somebody want to go on record with a different opinion.
I mean, usually when we vote yes or no, that's it.
Yeah.
It's yes or no, not why we voted yes or no. You know,
That's-
why did
that's-
we vote yes?
I agree, that's the usual, but I don't see that
It's
there's
a political move to have something on that after the motion is over. These minutes can be read and someone it could open the door to, which is fine, more discussion on 25-cent compensation. It's like a last word after it's been defeated.
Right, and we can't
And
have,
there's another way to do that, and we didn't do that. We didn't go for a revote. We didn't make a motion
Right,
to
once the motion
revote
is-
or Paul's opinion sway. We didn't do any of that.
all right, well, let's vote on the minutes.
In the motion.
Would you have Ed read the minutes the way the motion read?
I don't have the minutes that you're looking at.
No, would you,
What do you want?
I'd like to hear Andy made a motion, I'd like to hear what the motion.
Oh, the one you just made.
I amended my motion. I would make a motion that we approve these minutes with the deletion of, after Lou Brusso seconded the motion carried 4-1. That's it.
And that's the way it should be.
Well, that's my motion, whether it should be that way or not.
Well, you can't make a comment after the motion's been approved.
So that's what my motion would be. So it would delete Paul Fraser commenting on record that he would prefer 25-cent compensation.
Yeah, that wasn't in the original minutes, though, was it?
No, I'm making that, we correct it and put,
In the original minutes, he wants to delete everything after the motion
You want a
carried
copy of this?
4-1. And then he's gonna delete everything
yes,
after
that
that.
one, it's kind of hard.
Okay, so you're making a motion to correct that sentence,
To amend the minutes,
to amend the minutes, to read that.
to read, the motion carried 4-1.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposition?
Yeah.
And I will say no as well.
Okay, so we have 3, 4, and 2 against.
3-2.
3-2.
That's what I said, 3, 4,
2 against.
Oh,
3, 4, and 2.
Oh, and
That
FOR.
word, that word for.
Wanna articulate your commas better?
Not F-O-U-R.
FORE.
3-4.
Right. Okay, so the minutes have been approved. Thank you. Next is to approve the timesheets for the town office, listers, highway, and transfer station. And 3, to approve and assign select board orders, time for public concerns, we don't have any public. And now we have Charlie Grant and Matt from Cement Solar from Oxford, Massachusetts, regarding installation of a solar system to be located on the former William Daley plant off Route 30 in Rawsonville. It's just probably maybe a mile or so from the junction of Route 130. Charlie?
Thank you very much. As Lexa said, my name is Charlie Grant. I'm with Cement Plant Solar, which is the entity that's developing this particular parcel, but my company's name is Essex Capital Partners. We're a real estate development company. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've been focusing almost exclusively on developing solar arrays in Vermont. I'm here with Matt Lazzari of Peckham Industries. We are intending to purchase the site from Peckham, as well as to enter into a net metering relationship with them, and I'll explain that more a little bit later. But essentially, we are taking the former site of the ready-mix concrete plant and adapting it to a new use, which is net metered solar array. The solar array is going to generate power, which will be put onto the Green Mountain Power Distribution Grid. There's a substation located across the street, essentially, from the site. And the power will be supplied to the local grid, as well as generate net metering credits, which our off-taker in this case will be Peckham Industries. So we'll be producing green power for the use of Green Mountain Power, as well as Peckham's use throughout the state. So this property, as I understand it, was used for the development of ready-mix concrete and the construction of Stratton Mountain and some of the facilities up there, primarily in the 1980s, and it has not been used for some time. We like the site because it is, it's a good location for a solar array. From a sun perspective, there's a good solar resource there, as well as the fact that it's a previously used industrial site, and it is out of view of the public way. We anticipate that this will provide some tax revenue for the town, and we do not anticipate a demand on services, so that's a plus. And I'm here to introduce myself, introduce the project, and generally speaking, answer any questions that you have about it. So I guess with that, I will go to my visual aid over here. So what I've outlined, this here is an aerial view of the former of the Daley site, which I'm happy to pass around. But essentially, this is Route 100 right here, as it leaves Rawsonville to the south, and the open area is the former ready-mix site. So I can pass this around if you'd like.
Peckham Industries, is that,
We own the site now.
you own the site now?
Yes.
It's just for the solar, that's it?
Actually, I was curious about we own the site, because I looked on the listers records, and as of April 1st, you didn't. Did you purchase the site between April 1st and now?
No,
It could be under a different entity name.
It looked like Daley still owned the site as of...
Yes, it's still under Daley's name. Peckham Industries owns William E. Daley.
Oh, okay, then I guess that's where the confusion...
Yeah, so there's...
Because after I got back on Tuesday, on Wednesday, I went and looked, we talked it over in the lister's office, and I asked them to look it up.
We bought Daley in 2004.
Oh, okay, so that's how the ownership happens, okay.
Yeah, and Matt, do you want to explain your role a little bit with Peckham, or one of the?
Yeah, property manager for Peckham Industries. We own several thousand acres in Vermont and in New York. This site came across my desk, recently. The old owner, Bill Daly, is still interested in the plant. He's purchasing the plant back off of us, and it's a remote plant, and he's taking it to another location up in Burlington. We felt, Peckham Industries has always been very, I don't know how to say it, works really well with all the local towns around them. We try to accommodate them, we try to accommodate the neighbors and everything, and we just felt the site would be really good for solar. One, it'll help us, one, it'll bring tax revenue into the town, and it eliminates an industrial site from any type of truck traffic. It's out of the sight out of the view of the neighbors, so it's very minimal impact, no truck traffic, no type of industry, smog or smoke or trucks or anything like that. So we thought it was just a good win-win-win for us, for Cement Solar, and for the town. So we just decided to work with Charlie Grant here and his company, and John Spencer in Vermont. It's Vet Bank, I believe. So here we are now, and hopefully you guys feel the same way we do about it.
So who's going to benefit by this?
Well,
There's no buildings, I mean,
when you say benefit, so you
you're
mean
gonna have
the
solar there, but there's no homes and there's nothing. You said the cement thing is gone, so there's no industry there that.
That's correct. So the power generated by the solar array. So solar PV technology receives sunlight, generates electricity. In this case, we will be connecting directly to the Green Mountain Power Grid and making that power available to the local distribution network. So what that means is that rather than having to import power on one of these high tension transmission lines, like Green Mountain Power would normally have to call the power from, Vermont Yankee or a plant down in Massachusetts or Quebec or somewhere. Rather than doing that, we generate that power locally, and essentially Green Mountain Power, as the operator of the distribution grid, can allocate that power throughout its local network. On the financial side of things, in exchange for us doing that, Green Mountain Power issues us a credit, which is utilized, can be utilized by any other meter in the state that's a Green Mountain Power customer. Peckham happens to be a Green Mountain Power customer, so what we're going to be doing is generating that electricity for use on the local grid, as well as generating credits that Peckham can then utilize in their electric consumption. So, in the physical sense, we are generating power that will be used on the wires in Jamaica, but
However, the finances are between the two of you.
that's correct,
We in the town don't receive anything.
except for tax revenue.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So solar arrays are taxable, as they're not exempt from property taxes. So we would pay property taxes to the town of Jamaica, as well as to the state. I believe, I don't think it's the education tax, but there is a capacity tax that we pay to the state of Vermont. So there's those two tax liabilities. And Matt was telling me earlier that the current tax revenue or the tax liability for the site is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,200 a year or something like that. And we estimate it will be definitely larger than that. And I don't have an exact number for you, but once we go through the state valuation model, I imagine it'll probably be at least 5,000, if not larger than that.
So having solar, which is the big deal right now in Vermont, you don't get tax credit?
We, the developer, or can you clarify your question?
Well, I just wonder, they're trying to really encourage people to go into solar. And
Yes.
I just wondered, are there tax credits being given out for people who are actually laying out areas for solar energy?
There are, yes, and you're absolutely right. There are tax credits that are available at the state and at the federal level. And the beneficiary of those tax credits would be essentially the developer. So as the developer of the solar array, we would spend capital. We would incur costs to build the solar array, much as you would building a house. And the federal government will give you a tax credit on eligible costs for developing your solar array. So we would, while we go out and we spend money to build the solar array, some of that is essentially reimbursable in the form of a tax credit.
So that would not have any impact on the amount of taxes that we would receive?
No, it would not. It's only our federal tax liability and state. There's a separate state credit. So.
And the way taxes work is, unlike a normal industry where our listers would go out and look at the property and evaluate it, the state has a formula, I think you referred to. And the formula is based on the amount of wattage they put out, as based on the value of the equipment. And they do all this calculation, and they'll tell us what we will list that property for.
And then the same mill rate as would be applied to other property would be applied.
I just was curious whether or not, when you estimated $5,000, whether these different tax reductions would have any effect on what we would
On your receipt, yes. Yeah, it's a good point, and my experience is that that's not the case. We pay taxes, so we operate 2 commercial scale solar arrays. One's in White River Junction in the town of Hartford, and then the other one is up in Barton, Vermont, which is another town. And in both cases, we pay, we owe taxes to the town at the end of each year.
So the question I have is, you said that you make that electricity available to Green Mountain Power. That sounds like you sell that to Green Mountain Power.
Right.
It's not quite a relationship like that. It is, and it's governed by the Vermont net metering law, which I believe the last one that passed was Act 99, and I'm happy to make make that available. But the way that net metering is intended is to allow essentially local generation from renewables to offset consumption. And the way that works out in Vermont is that you're allowed to have generation occur in one location and consumption to occur in another location on the same grid. So I do understand your question in terms of selling the power directly to Green Mountain Power. We are a generating unit, meaning we are an independent power producer, but we don't have a direct relationship with Green Mountain Power.
I guess my thinking as I'm hearing you is that, let's speak for a second, does Green Mountain Power pay for this electricity generated by your arrays differently than they pay for the electricity they're already generating and sending out?
Yes, they do. And there's a tariff, I believe it's just called a net metering tariff. And when I refer to generating credits, that you generate net metering credits, and there's a methodology for how they value that, and it's based on the retail rate.
Yeah, I guess the thing that's going on in my head is I understand very, very vaguely about the credits and the net metering and that sort of thing.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think of it in dollar cents is they're already getting electricity from whatever source.
Yep.
And then they're charging us for that at whatever rate it is.
That's right.
We're now going to get the electricity from a new source, you guys,
Yep.
and we're going to get charged because Green Mountain Power isn't paying for it, we're paying for it. So while the town may be getting taxes, are the individuals of us who are connected to Green Mountain Power going to be paying a different, higher rate for the electricity we're getting now that it's coming from here as opposed to downstream from where it's coming from now?
It's a good question, and I think as the last couple of Vermont electric bills that I've looked at, you'll notice that there is a small surcharge at the end of the bill. It's pennies on your total electric bill, or it's applied to your total KWH, and I think it's I don't have an electric bill in front of me, so I don't know, but I think it's the green energy charge, much as there is charges for delivery of services and things. And the way that Green Mountain Power has because Green Mountain Power, in addition to running because they're a regulated utility, they run the infrastructure and they maintain the grid. They also have to now receive this power from renewable resources. So in exchange for accommodating the receipt of that power from these resources, the state has allowed them to charge that surcharge, which is small, but it is there. Yeah.
But it opens the door. I guess the very simple question is this electricity going to cost us more than what we've got? That's the bottom basic line. And I understand about the hill, if you try to chase every one of those silly things down, you're spending 2 or 3 hours on your bill, everybody. They keep adding little things.
Sure.
And while they don't seem like they're minutia at this point, they don't seem like any big deal.
Mhm.
There's just never been a tax that went away.
Yep.
And even though we want to call this a tax or a fee or an adjustment or a permission, it's been more of your money than we actually earn, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
That's the question. Is this facility going to actually cost the Jamaican taxpayer more money on their electric bill than we're going to make in our taxes?
Sure, and I would say, I hear what you're saying, and I think the, you know, my answer, and I'm not trying to escape the question, is that this project will not do that. Net metering in the state of Vermont, generally, because the state sets the policy, will have that effect. And I'm happy to talk about the benefits of net metering and why that cost is, you know, has a benefit associated with it. But that is a state level policy, and you know, this particular array is not going to cause that to happen. The whole construct of net metering is what results in that charge. And it's like, you know, for example, for Green Mountain Power to maintain their infrastructure, they have to build new transmission lines every once in a while. And one of the ways that they've decided to avoid that expensive going through, you know, the process of building a big transmission line is to build locally generated power. And that's what's called, you know, kind of avoided, you know, cost is one way to describe it. And so much as I wouldn't say that, you know, building this transmission line through Jamaica is going to raise, you know, just Jamaica's power costs. Similarly, this project itself is not going to raise your electric costs, but you know, it is a valid, you know, concern about net metering in general. So, does that answer your question?
I think I get it. What I'm hearing from you, boiled down in my little brain, is that, yeah, the state's gonna stick it to you regardless, and you guys are just getting your project together because I'm in favor of renewable energy, and this certainly makes perfectly good sense. But a lot of things that make perfectly good sense end up coming from the state as a fee to us. And I'm just trying to make sure in my mind, I'm balancing out what we're gonna make in taxes, which we discussed, with what it's gonna cost the citizens of Vermont across the board, and Jamaica in particular, to get that. There's no 0-0 here. I mean, these guys are gonna be paying you, and if it's cheaper, great. If it's not, and they keep adding these little line items of extra money on our bill, and we're all paying for it.
Is that the energy efficiency charge? Is that what?
Do you have an electric bill
I do.
open right now? Gosh, I don't know if I'm capable of interpreting this, but
Looks like that might be.
It could be the energy efficiency charge, but I should look into that and get you the exact answer.
and I'm happy to, you know, the call that I will make will go directly to Green Mountain.
I don't wanna crucify you on the state's cross.
Sure.
Okay, because that's not your call, that's them.
Yep.
But I'm just trying to get in my own mind how this is playing this up. I have no problem at all with the whole concept, it makes perfectly good sense. I'm just trying to take a look at the.
Yeah,
So
and
you're looking to see if there's an increase in your bill just because of renewable energy in general throughout the state?
Well, we go globally to the state, and we just had this fuss about the changes in these little meter jobbies and people who went to this change, so the bill go up. And it was supposed to be saving us money, but in fact, it did not save us money, it cost us money. So a lot of these new things that are happening sound good, and if we're gonna be globally saying, yes, we gotta save the planet, let's call it, we're gonna charge you more to save the planet, not we're gonna save the money in one hand and take it out of it.
Yeah, so what you would like to see is, you know, say there's 1,000 arrays that go up in Vermont. Out of that 1,000 arrays, you'd like to see your energy use go down because now you've got 1,000 arrays out there that are renewable resources and you're not buying it out of state, you're not buying it from Canada or Massachusetts or generating it from a higher power like natural gas or water, which costs a lot more to generate power with. So I don't know if we could answer that off of just this one small array, or figure out even what it would be if there was an increase or a decrease.
Yeah. I appreciate that that's a state
such
issue.
a broad, you know.
And I maybe this is the first time this has come up in our town for me to think along these lines specifically. I don't know what everybody else in Vermont does, but I look at these bills, my eyes gloss over, I send them a check, you know, and it's lost.
Yeah.
And all we know is when the money goes to the state, it pretty much doesn't
Come back. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Our community that's next to us, Townsend, they actually are getting some of their buildings, like Grace Cottage Hospital is getting some of the benefits of the different solar areas. I don't know if that is something that might be considered for us, like our public buildings.
It's something that you're more than, and you have every right and you should, pursue every benefit that you can from it. This particular array, our company is developing it with the end goal in mind of, basically, we've conceived it and we're constructing it under the assumption that we're giving the power, we're producing the power, it's going onto the Green Mountain grid, and then we have another Green Mountain Power customer whose bill that we're offsetting. If you were to pursue the same construct with solar arrays on your town buildings as a roof, it would work much the same way. You would spend some money to install the system on your home or on your rooftop, and then the generation from that system would offset your electric bill, and you would receive credits for it. So it's something that the town has every right to do, and there's actually a number of incentives in place for towns to do it. Towns, landfills, and it really depends on kind of what resources you have in place in terms of where you can actually put the solar array.
Well, actually, I was talking about, might sound pretty nervy, tapping into your project.
Into ours, yes. Well, it's something that we had not anticipated, and we, like I said, conceived of this as a contractual relationship between ourselves and Peckham Industries. We actually already have an existing net metering agreement with Peckham. So the opportunity for this one is not currently available. If you would like to discuss at a different point about developing a standalone single-purpose net meter solar array for the town, I'd be happy to talk to you guys about that. And it's definitely possible. So.
And there's more property from Peckham that we could put it up on for you, so.
Right.
I would like to comment, though, that you're about to hear from the district on that very topic. The district is only 3 days away from signing a lease with the company. And once we sign that lease, we're putting together a PPA to come to us, to Jamaica, as well as all the other towns. So you'll be hearing about that very, very soon.
Right, you see the solid waste district is actually one step ahead of us. So,
You mentioned that to us.
Yeah,
Right,
I
yes,
mentioned
so
that.
we're that close now.
Yeah, and we're very close.
Well, I just thought maybe we could get more from them.
Well, we're hoping we'll be able to use all of our consumption with this one project.
Yeah.
And it's there, I mean, the opportunity for you guys to benefit off of that as well is there. I mean, luckily I ran into, Charlie and his father, and, we decided, this is a good route for Peckham Industries, it's a good route for the town, it's a good use of the site once it's decommissioned and reclaimed, and it's a good opportunity for them, so we just figured.
How many solar arrays are going to be there? Are they the big long ones? What do they look like?
Yeah, so I actually, the second plan, the reason I didn't put it on the first one is because it's easier to read the notes and the contour lines if the drawing is on there. But basically, these are the solar array, or the solar panels, the solar array, which consists of, basically racks of these, of the solar panels themselves, which are about as big as, that tabletop. And I think the total area that we are going to deploy under is around 3.5 acres or so. That's going to be in there. They will be in rows like this.
Do they move around?
They do not move around,
The
no.
ones in Manchester, I see, sometimes they're this way, sometimes
Yep.
they're that way.
Yeah, those are called trackers,
Oh.
they
They follow the sun?
They follow the sun, yes, they follow the sun, and typically, meaning in my experience, we've used only fixed tilt solar arrays, so they essentially are mounted to a rack that stays in an angle that is, it's picked because it's optimal to receive the most amount of sunlight. And they don't move, and the advantage is that because they don't have moving parts, the motors don't, break down or anything, so.
I don't know if this is a right question, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Say the town had a piece of property
Mhm.
that we could put something like that on for municipal
Yep.
buildings. Approximate cost, what would that cost the town roughly?
What would that cost?
Just kind of ballpark.
That size of array?
That sounds right. Well,
But I don't know if it would do all, like the school, the town hall, would it do a lot of buildings or just one building or?
I honestly, I don't know if I can speak to it because I don't know how large of an array the town would need in order to offset it. I'm sure that the solid waste district would be able to tell you about the relative cost of theirs, but in their model, which seems to be a popular one that many towns are exploring, is rather than sell the land or purchase a solar array, they will actually lease the land to the developer, who then builds at their cost, and then the town receives the benefits.
Oh, okay.
So you know, it keeps the town in the ownership of the land, but,
Right.
you know.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and in fact, the town doesn't even have to own the land. Brattleboro has a site in Westminster, and Westminster receives the proceeds from the lease, but Brattleboro receives the proceeds from the.
The power's going through their meter.
Correct.
Right.
And what will happen is, in our case, what we will do is we will look to see how much we consume during the course of a year. And let's say that number is, I don't know, 50,000 kilowatts. We have the right to purchase from our project 50,000 kilowatts worth of power. And what will happen is Green Mountain Power will bill us, will give us a credit for around 19 cents per kilowatt, but the developer, in this case, similar to them, will charge the town 13.9 cents per kilowatt. So therefore, the difference is what we save. That's a 10-year agreement. So.
I'd like to ask a question that maybe, I mean, I can't be the first person to ask this question, so I apologize if it seems pretty dumb. This
No such thing, so.
No, that's not dumb. This is still Vermont.
Yep.
And if last winter is any clue, there's gonna be a lot of snow on top of these things. Tell me how that couple of feet of snow is gonna affect the production of electricity with these.
Yeah, I'll be, perfectly honest. Snow on top of a solar array means no electricity produced. So if the snow stays on there and doesn't move, doesn't melt or anything, it acts just like shade, and so it prevents you from producing power. The way that these are constructed, though, they are fixed at an angle, and so much as a tin roof sheds snow, when you have a little brief period between the snowstorms, I know you don't get many of those in the middle of December or January or whatever, but when the sun starts shining again, there will be a little bit of melting, which usually allows the snow to basically slide right off. And it does, kind of shed. And we typically size the racking so that the array is about 3 or 4 feet off the ground to allow for snow to build up. But generally speaking, they just weather through the winter just fine.
It's also the way we clean them.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to go out there.
We're gonna send the shovels.
If the job is to stand there and watch the sun melt them off, that's the job.
You can get a broom and broom them off.
So are you just asking for our blessing, or do we need to?
I am, basically I'm just making myself available, to answer the questions that you guys, which are all great questions, no shockers here. I would love to have the town's support. Basically what we're doing is going through, so the permit that we need in order to construct this is called a Section 248 Certificate of Public Good. And it's issued by the Vermont Public Service Board, which regulates utilities and energy projects. So what I would love to bring to that application, which we're planning to file on the 30th of July, would be a letter of support from the town, just saying that we've had the opportunity to look at the project, and we're all for it. I think it might benefit the town in the form of tax revenue and renewable energy, or something to that effect. I understand that there may be certain limitations of what the town can offer to that regard, but anything you can offer would be great. So.
No Act 250.
No Act 250. Yes, that is correct.
We're getting rid of it now. We're taking it off of the property.
Yeah, so
Between 240.
Peckham did have an Act 250 permit for their use of the site, but solar operates, kind of in parallel to the Act 250 kind of. The Section 248 permit is actually based on the Act 250 criteria. So basically the Public Service Board holds us to a similar standard as what Act 250 would.
I'm gonna,
Go ahead.
my night for being odd, but I'm trying to get a good grasp of what all this is all about. And helpful for those of us in the longer tooth generation. This sounds a little bit like this situation. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, if somebody found a creek or a stream that was going to be able to work out for electricity or wood or anything, and this gentleman decided, I've got this piece of property, it's got a great creek on it, I'm going to hire you to build me a mill.
Mm-hmm.
And that you are going to get the revenues from that mill. Once you built the mill, then you go away and build somebody else's mill. Is this the 21st century version of that?
It could be, yes, that's a good way to think about it, except that my business is building and owning mills. We're in the business of building and owning, assets.
Okay, so if you're owning the asset, what is their,
Our benefit is we're allowing them to run the power that they generate through our meter.
through your
And we
meter?
use their power.
So you're like leasing your land.
They're actually purchasing the land from us.
We're purchasing land, and actually, it's kind of, it's actually two separate, two separate transactions. We basically, we could, theoretically, we could just purchase the land from Peckham, and, they would say, thanks for buying our valuable piece of property, and we would say, thank you for giving us a place to site our solar array, for, consideration or whatever. But also, because Peckham happens to be a considerable user of electricity in the state, both of our organizations said, this makes perfect sense, why don't we also buy the power from the output of the array? If not Peckham, then there could be other customers, but Peckham has a need, so we entered into a relationship to do that.
Okay, so let me ask Peckham a question. I'm sorry if I'm being a little slow with this, but help me. What is it that you do that generates a need, that uses up all this electricity?
We own daily precast in Shaftesbury. We own a blacktop plant, a concrete plant, and a crushing outfit with several quarries and sand pits.
Okay.
So,
That's
that asphalt
That's
plant,
using it up.
yeah, that asphalt plant uses
And
quite
we're
a
looking
bit of
for the
concrete plant.
credits available by doing this.
And we also own some office buildings. We own the State Trooper Barracks that they're in on 7 off Airport Road. We own the Iron Kettle. So we have 12 meters in Green Mountain Power that all generate.
That was the
The
piece
use of power.
that makes sense now.
Yep.
Now I know where you're using it,
Yeah.
and why you need the credits.
We
These guys are
we
doing
use
it.
several million kilovolts, is it?
Kilowatt hours.
Kilowatt hours
Yeah.
a year. So
Gotcha, okay. I'd like to help.
this one is 500 kilowatt hours system. So
I have a question for the future,
Sure.
and that is, Paul was talking about old mills
Mm-hmm.
and how they have gone the way of history. Someday, these are going to become obsolete too. And, that's just what science is all about,
Mm-hmm.
that things are going obsolete. Is there anything written in any contracts or any state laws saying after these become obsolete? Now, I'll just throw out 50 years, 75 years, and I'm not gonna be around for this, but is there anything about leaving them on the ground, or will they have to take them up? Is there anything written that they cannot be darting our countryside by all of these different areas?
Sort of like the decommissioning that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
Decommissioning.
Vermont.
Decommissioning is exactly the right word.
Okay.
And in the 248 process, there's actually, there's usually a requirement that you have some sort of decommissioning plan. And what that ends up looking like is, in some cases, there's just a plan, meaning that, we're going to basically go and we're committed to remediate the site, meaning, pull the pylons, up and basically use them for scrap steel, remove the solar panels, dispose of them properly, that sort of thing. So that is the requirement that's currently a part of the 248 legislation. Because we're a power generating, facility in the state of Vermont, that's why the Public Service Board regulates us. So much as Vermont Yankee has a decommissioning plan, we will also have a decommissioning plan.
Okay,
So
my concern.
that will be a part of it. Regarding the useful life, I don't think that the 50 to 75 year time frame is unreasonable. They're warranty right now. You can buy a warranty on the solar panels for 20 years. Generally speaking, that's because they've only been operating commercially for about 20 years. So the first solar panels got designed and built basically to go power the satellites that NASA was sending off into space, because they needed to produce power independent of any other fuel source. And so with these ones, basically you buy a warranty for 20 years, and at year 20, they're rated at 80% of their power output. After that, they don't have a lot of great data on how quickly they, degrade, but generally speaking, they degrade, kind of in a linear way. So they'll still be producing power, and there's every potential that, rather than, I guess we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it, but if the state would allow you to, I imagine that you could probably use a more advanced technology in 20 years in the same, sort of spatial configuration. You could hang different modules on the same, racks. Upgrade them, exactly, and, keep generating power that way. So it could be, that's again something that, the state will have to decide how they want to handle it, whether they want to have these things removed because there's better technology, or whether they permit them to keep operating. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, yes, because that has been a major concern for me when I see them. There's a group over on Route 35 that goes up to Grafton. I don't know if you know the ones.
Yep.
The ones in Brattleboro, and so they're really beginning to dark.
So, that's
all
one good
over.
thing about this site is you won't see them.
No.
You won't see them. They're just buffered by, what's it, 100-foot buffer?
Yeah, there's 100 feet of setback
Yeah.
from the road, and right now it's pretty thickly treed. There's a lot of vegetation there.
It's private property and there's no zoning anyway.
No, I know that,
No,
but
but I'm
still.
just saying.
It's just for the future.
We're just
so-
encouraging,
It is the future.
the town,
Well,
we're
it's like
always
the-
talking about hoping new business or some enterprise would come in here. And personally, I think that you've made a great presentation and we're gonna receive some tax money from it. How much exactly, we don't know, but
There should be a significant increase. I mean, the property's valued at, I don't know, 120 grand now, and after you put a system like this on, it's gonna be in the millions, so.
I didn't even know dailies, they weren't coming out of there. I thought they were just slow. I haven't seen
I
any
didn't
trucks
see
coming
any
out.
trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that Daly put the plant there is to accommodate Stratton.
Right.
Coming out of Shaftesbury with trucks going up to the top of
Right.
Stratton wasn't economical for them because the trucks didn't have the horsepower. It was very slow moving. They couldn't take full loads up the hill. So he developed that site for a plant. He got permitted for a plant to accommodate the build of Stratton. Once they redesigned trucks and now there's bigger trucks, badder trucks, more horsepower, so that they can handle hauling a lot further distance with a full load or up hills, there was no need for the plant anymore, and that's why it hasn't been really ran. I believe they ran a small job out of there in 2006 once, and then before that was like 2002. But other than that, I mean, it's just sitting there kind of rotting away, and I think that looks more like an eyesore than a couple solar panels out.
Right.
Does anybody else have any questions for these gentlemen?
Done a good job.
Go ahead.
They're asking for us for a letter of support. Part of the Section 248 process allows for stakeholders to give letters of support or to oppose a project. I guess I'd like to move that we have Pam write us a letter of support.
Well-
Lexa's,
It has to come from the board.
right, at Lexa's, right.
And I think we have to get I don't know, first we have to get the stuff from the state. Yeah, don't they send us, like when we did the cell tower, they sent us information and then we had to, they
Whatever, but I'd like
approved
to
it
have,
or not, you know,
have,
and then sent the letter of approval that the board approved.
yeah, I'd like to
this
have, I'd like to
project.
approve that. I'd like to
I don't know.
write letter of support.
I don't know that you, I obviously don't want to speak for the town, you should look through whatever the process is, but
Right.
I don't believe that you need the state's permission to write a letter of support.
No, I don't need the state's permission, but usually the state will send us,
Like a
a
form?
permit or something, I think. I
Right,
can't
yeah,
remember.
and so we actually, we don't have the permit yet, and what they look for is on the way into the application process for the permit, they look, what happens is actually the reason, or one of the reasons I'm here is because by statute, in order to apply for
Okay, so you
the
move that
permit,
to us now.
I need to give 45
Helps
days
with
of
the
notice
permitting
to
process.
the town, planning commission, the regional commission, neighboring properties and everything else. And so the letter that you originally received from me, Lexa, was that 45-day
Okay,
notice.
that was
And
the
so,
notice,
yeah.
okay.
So,
All right, so do you want to do that as a motion?
Yes, I did. I'd like to make a motion that we write a letter of support.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5 ayes.
Thank you very much.
You got that?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Come on.
Oh.
Yeah, this is good to get on the TV for the citizens who are asking questions that we couldn't answer. I think it's a pretty good description of what's going on.
And feel free to contact me or Charlie.
Yeah, I'll leave some of my
Nice
voice
emails about that.
Okay.
Sure, yeah, that'd be good. All right, thank you. What's the time frame for this? Do you have any idea?
We're submitting the application for the 248 certificate of public good at the end of this month, and that process usually takes, once you have the application for these types of projects, typically takes about 2 months. So we're hoping to start construction in September, and and then complete it before winter weather. So that's our goal.
Good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good.
Hope we can work through snow.
Yeah. We like to get up before the snow. We can.
Leave some cards here as well. Do you want me to just leave a pile of them, I guess?
5 is good, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Would you like one? Sure.
Maybe just
Speaking of raise for the community, the firehouse has one south-facing slope. Faces towards the,
Right.
and I don't know if I hold it very much.
I don't know, see, I don't know what they, I don't know enough about them.
Yeah.
They'd have to check into it. Let's see what's-
But, it's exposed.
It is
This is
exposed,
the
yeah.
south-facing slope, but it's got elevators.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, have a safe
you very much.
trip.
Have a great evening.
Thanks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, number 6 on the agenda. We received notice from the state of Vermont regarding the education tax for fiscal year 2016. Our residential rate is 1.3547, homestead tax rate to be assessed at 1.4339.
Those go up or down from last time?
They
Hopefully it went down.
went down a little bit, like,
0.35.
not very much.
But it's nice to see it go down instead of up.
Yeah.
Right,
That's the right direction.
that's that.
Actually, according to what I read in the paper, there was even a surplus on the
Education.
beginning of July, the whole year.
Really?
Yeah, for the state of Vermont. It was brought on by a greater tourist season, primarily.
And number 7 is our municipal tax rate that our treasurer has done for us, and it needs our approval and signature. The resident rate will be 1.7622, non-resident is 1.6930. What is your?
Same question, did that go down?
I can't remember what Terry said,
Terry said, I think they both went down, but by minuscule.
but just,
She said maybe the last 2 digits after that.
right, it wasn't.
And the reason I'm interested in that is because that should show the effects of Act 148, the fact that we're doing pay-as-you-throw.
Right, it went down very little, not a lot. I think if you talk to Terry tomorrow, she'll be
Yeah,
able
I'd
to
like to
tell you
know that.
exactly what, but we'll need a motion to sign the tax rate so that they can start sending out tax bills.
I move that we accept these tax rates.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Lou?
Let me think. Yeah, something. Why don't you come back to me, Lexa, give me a minute to think.
Okay. Judy?
Oh, yeah. Couple of things. I'll start with the transfer station first.
Okay.
It will be 2 weeks on Wednesday that we have been doing Pay As You Throw. And I've been monitoring it pretty well, and I know Lou was up there on Monday, and I don't know, Andy, did you?
Oh, I was in and out.
You were in and out? And things are going quite well. Mark Bluff has asked just a few people to go and get bags, and the majority of people have been doing that. They go down to D&K and come back with their garbage. And the most important piece is that the compactor, we didn't even have to have the compactor pick up, which normally happens on Thursdays of each week. And as of yesterday, the same compactor was still being filled. So last week there was no pickup, and Mark said it was about half full. So maybe by the end of this week, the compactor, so we're already saving on that transportation and cost of having them pick it up, which I think is absolutely great. That's what we were hoping for. So people are really being very accepting of it. Just a few complaints here and there, which I kind of thought would be happening. So
There's a lot of people
they're very
recycling.
cooperative. What?
A lot of recycling
A
going on.
lot of recycling going on.
Once we
that's
get
what it was
at the end of the month, we'll get some reports from Wyndham Solid Waste
Yeah.
to see if our recycling went up.
Right.
But I think what it shows is two things. I think recycling is going up. But
Right.
number two is a lot of the trash that came into this town because we were free
Right.
is going away
Yes.
because we're no longer
Or if it
free.
was somebody that was coming here that brought trash from
Yes.
elsewhere,
Right.
they have their own dumpster.
Yes. I was talking with Mark about that, and he said several of the caretakers are going that route.
Right.
So that will alleviate a
Mhm.
lot of things coming into it. So far, it's doing really well.
Yeah, and I don't think
Very
people are
happy.
gonna leave stuff by the road. There was always
No,
No,
I
stuff. I
haven't.
mean, this is, the only change is that we have to
Yeah.
pay for the bags and do
Yeah.
more recycling.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, were there a lot of large bags, or was
But I checked yesterday, as a matter of fact. There are more yellow bags, which are the larger ones,
Oh.
than the green ones.
I'm finding that
Yeah.
my challenge is going to be to try to fill one of those.
To fill
I'll
a
be
yellow.
using more of the smaller ones.
Uh-huh.
But I
Well, you can combine things with.
Right, I know, I'm just saying that, I was surprised that
Yeah,
once you start paying attention, how much
Right.
you're using smaller bags for,
yeah.
so.
So, and sales are going well. I've checked up on that, and I know that both you, Lou, and you, Lexa, and I have been running across the street when we visit D&K's and getting more bags because of her running out of them. And Rawsonville Marketplace, they've been selling, but not quite as much as D&K. And I think a lot of it because of people in the town, it's centralized. And also Mark will send them down to D&K. So that's really been going well. And Terry has a whole system working where she keeps the amounts in books and listings, so that we're getting a good handle on how much is being sold, how many bags are going to the public buildings that of course are not paid for. We pay for them, the town pays, but and those kinds of things. So it's been a good deal. I'm really, really happy about it. Next, Town Hall well. Today we had great exploration. And Paul Frost, who helps with his father to run frost well drilling came, and Steve Clark and I trudged up the hill and looked at all of the possibilities. And part of what we're running into are some complications in terms of getting the drill, which is 45,000 pounds, up the hill. And we're trying to figure out how to go about doing that. We're also looking at where the septic tank is, and we think we found it. So, and also we are looking at boundary lines, which we thought were there, but they're not really where we thought they are. So we're in the process of really exploring that. And as soon as things get put together, and we'll begin to drill. But like everything, you run into things that you don't expect. And Steve's been really, really good about that. I don't know what I would have done without him. And he's been right on top of getting frost to come. So that's what's going on with the town well. And I just want to make one other comment, and it has nothing to do with transfer station or the town well, but I've been visiting different groups talking about the pay-as-you-throw bags, and I was asked to come over to the school to have to look at what they have for their waste and what can be put in recyclables and what can't be. And in the process, I learned about our elementary school and what it is doing right at the moment. That is a super busy place, and I knew nothing about that. Right now they're in the midst of a program that runs a month called the Olympics, and they have like 65 kids that are over there on a daily basis, I guess, or a couple of times a week. And all sorts of projects going on. And when I was there, Dorothy Duquesne brought up the fire engine, so I gather they were going to look at the fire engine and see what was going on there. And they're outside playing all sorts of games and going swimming. And then another program that Sue was telling me about was they've been authorized to have feed people who are not really, they have to qualify for free meals. And they're feeding, I think, like 2 meals a day, I think 5 days a week. My numbers could be wrong, but even that is quite a project for the school. I don't know, do you know anything?
I don't know,
about it?
I know that there is a program, I think is it breakfast and lunch?
Yes, I think it is breakfast and
Yeah,
lunch.
I didn't know if it had started yet or not.
Yeah, there's a sign out front that said, for people under 18 and under.
Mhm.
So.
You can't go low.
So I thought that's something that we should be talking about here and letting people know through our television, that our school is doing a great, great job
They are.
in the summer, and we're very, very lucky.
Yeah, I think they have camps
Yeah.
all summer for the kids, different
Yeah.
camps that they can go to,
Yeah.
1 week, 2 weeks, whatever.
Right.
No, there's lunch and breakfast for the kids when they're in school, right?
Right,
For all the children, kids.
yes.
I think that may be a statewide effort for, the kids who are, summer vacation.
Summer vacation.
And,
But it's for families too,
Yes.
well, 18 and under.
but for kids who may miss out on that because they're not in school, kind of.
Right, I think it's a state funded.
Yeah, it is state funded.
Mhm.
So, and I gather we are a central location. It's not every school, I think, that's doing that.
I don't know, I know there was something in the paper I read about.
Oh, you did?
And I
So I just wanted to pass that on, and I was I was very impressed.
Yeah, they do a good job.
All the kids
That's
were
why
there.
Greg is running up and down the road still, because, Greg's Ocean, because the school's still.
Yeah, he's busy,
It's on-
yeah.
So are they using our bags, or are they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's come in and gotten bags, from us here, and, and I guess the library's got some, and you guys have some. So, I think, the fire department, I think they're buying theirs, because we're not fiscally responsible.
Right,
For the fire
right, 'cause they're an
department,
association,
so,
they're
yeah.
purchasing their own.
Right. So,
And they do a lot of recycling, so.
so that's all I got.
Paul,
I have two things.
okay?
One, I'd like to speak directly to the people watching this. Today had an interesting situation with the Jamaica Fire Department responding to a call. In that, we ended up with two firemen walking the street, trying to be able to read the numbers on the houses. Failing that, we were going up the street trying to smell the smoke for the fire call. The point I'm making is, having attractive, cute numbers on the side of your building 200 or 300 feet from the roadway may delay our response in a crisis. We would encourage everybody to get their numbers for their houses by the side of the road in numbers and letters that we can see, hopefully at night as well, but certainly get them close, because it looked a little silly for us walking up the houses trying to find a number for our alleged fire that we're chasing. We found the smoke, and ultimately found the spot, but the response was way delayed for that. Just letting everybody, it's a good memory, jog your memory.
It's a law, isn't it?
It is, you're supposed to
Yeah,
have,
that's a law.
where it's visible, so people,
Right.
police, fire, rescue can see that, so that it doesn't delay response.
It was
Thank you.
embarrassing, because we looked a little silly, but it was also really delaying the response. Luckily, it was not a large fire that needed a lot of response, just a little one, but it's a good training aid.
All right,
Number
thank
two,
you.
I got one more thing real quick, just to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on with our construction here this month. We are going to be starting work on Water Street. The construction team hasn't started yet, they got a delay. We're not sure exactly what's happening with that, we're going to follow up on it, but we're still expecting Water Street to start this month. And after the 1st of August is when we're going to start the construction that was delayed in favor of the bicycle, the Tour de Grace. It will be closing Pikes Falls Road near or just this side of Delwood. And so the people from Delwood will need to go up towards Stratton to get out, and the people who are below Delwood would have to go around to get to Stratton. So we think it's going to take about 3 weeks. It's that culvert right there at the corner of Delwood and Pikes Falls Road. That is scheduled to start after the 1st of August. These dates are always penciled in because of other things, weather, construction, and other sites. But be aware that those are the two road closures and the two major constructions we have going on soon. Imminently starting. We have finally started the work on the Goodyvale Bridge.
Good.
Yep. So that's beginning to move after a long struggle. So that's all I have.
Thank you
I've
very
got a
much.
question though,
Yeah.
before you go on.
Yeah,
On Water Street, what is the anticipated completion date? Is there a required completion date in the contract?
Well, no, yes and no. We all have to have it done by the 1st of September for FEMA. They're telling me it's gonna take 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 4 at the outside. So we've got plenty of time to get that done.
So there is a deadline about September 1st.
All of FEMA work has to be substantially completed by September.
Even Goodyville?
Yeah, which is we had put in a request for an extension because we haven't gotten all the paperwork from FEMA. We got enough of it to go forward and put out the bid and get started, but we're still waiting for some other shoes to drop. But we have the current estimated completion date. It will be substantially completed by the end of December, and there will be some paving that will be done in the spring, because by that time the pavers are going to stop.
So September for Water Street,
Yeah,
September 1st, December 31st
for
for the Goodyville.
exactly. Yeah.
More along that question you asked about what contract, where does it say the completion date on Water Street, for instance?
We have it in the contract with the,
With Fitzpatrick?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of our contracts have,
Where are those contracts?
well, I've got one of my upstairs, if you look at it. Yeah, we've got them here, they're available if you want to look.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Where-
and the contracts are set up in such a way that should they not meet those dates,
They have to
it
pay
becomes
fine.
financially, this is Bert, I think it's like $500 a day or something like that. We
Well,
really
more
need
than
that.
that, FEMA's saying that. India's
Well,
saying that.
If FEMA says they're not gonna pay, then it's gonna be a real problem.
Right.
But we're pretty confident, the people we've chosen are
Well,
good
I'm
people.
just curious, what part of the whole thing?
It's built into all of our contracts with dates.
Right.
Yeah, the thing with the Goodyvale was a problem because it took us so long to get all the politics in line to make that work.
Yeah.
And so that's the one that's dragging, the toughest one, so.
Okay, Andy? Thank you, Paul.
Nothing for me.
Lou,
Yeah, nothing.
you can't remember?
Whatever it was, I can't remember it.
You can't remember. I had a couple things. We received this 2016 Municipal Park and Ride Grant Program, but it's my understanding that in order to apply for this grant, the town has to own property in order to do this, and we don't have any property that's available to do a park and ride, but it was just something that was sent to us. That was it. Old Home Day is gonna be the 25th. I've been in contact with the committee. They're working hard at it. I've contacted the sheriff's department to be available for that day, so that's all taken care of. So I think they should be all set there. That's it. I don't have anything else. You have a motion to?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.